Hi, welcome to Udacity's Nano Degree program for Data Analyst. My name is Dale and I will be covering the final project, which is called Data Visualization. And we're going to go over the best way to start the project. So, the first thing you should do in this project is to review the directions. And you want to be able to review them top to bottom, and particularly take some notes for anything that you feel would be useful in the future and maybe possible things that you would want to look out for while you proceed in your project. The next thing you would want to do is look at all of the resources available to you. You'll notice that they have data sets that you can choose from. You'll notice that they allow you to pick data sets outside of what they offer. And you'll also notice that there are examples of potentially what they're looking for. Now, this is great because it's it can be very overwhelming trying to figure out how you'd want to how to organize and structure the project for the delivery. So because they offer that to you as an example, that's probably one of the best places to start. And keep in mind as you're starting, this is an opportunity, not only to learn more with data analytics, but it's also an opportunity to advertise yourself to hiring managers and companies that would potentially look to hire someone that's interested in their industry. So if you're interested in banking, then potentially you should pick banking data sets. If you're interested in airlines, they have airline data sets, or any other types of products. Just keep this in the back of your head as you proceed, and that will make this project useful for you, but then also useful for potentially hiring opportunities in the future. So let's just go ahead and look at the first example that they offer us. So we're trying to take note of the structure. This is what I recommend that you pay attention to, is just look at the structure. And of course, they have the title right here, and they talk about wrangling, and you have your libraries. And of course, you're going to want to do the exploration phase, which is what you see right here. And as you go through, when you pull up your own data set, keep spotting out areas of opportunity that you could implement in your own project. Like this one, just looking right off the bat, I'm looking at cut, color, and clarity. Now these are strings, and it looks like those are possibly something that could be turned into categories, which make them a lot easier to work with when you do data visualization. Now, when you look at the data underneath that, where they have it organized, just kind of like the head part of the data, you'll notice that they are relating to categories in terms of how they're, in terms of the repetition. You can tell that they're categorical. And you'll also notice that there's some form of order that should be implemented in addition to these being categorical data types. Luckily for us, in this example, they've shown us how we could potentially take the category, convert the data into category data. In addition, they provided some code that would allow us to put it into order. And this is something that would be really good to take note of, because there's some potential possible uses for this when you move into your project. I like that they provide a lot of different questions, because these questions are useful to help you gain direction in terms of where you're trying to go with your data set. So you'll probably want to answer these questions when you start your project as well. I like the univariate exploration. So This is definitely important when you're doing data visualization. And as you go through these graphs, you just want to, when you get something similar to what you're seeing here, you want to keep trying to draw meaning from it, because it's in the meaning that demonstrates your worth. And your worth is your ability to add value, one, and then your willingness to add value. So if you can demonstrate that you can read into things more deeper, that's something that's going to make you more marketable. Especially when you, and keep in mind, this is what you'd want to do when you are advertising yourself, for potential hiring managers. I want you to pay attention to this chart, which I found really interesting. Now, if you think about diamonds, it seems to me that under normal conditions, the diamonds would be pretty flat, like in terms of there's a certain amount you'd get at 0.2 carats and 4 and so forth, right? But you see these, it's multimodal graph. And for me, this kind of is a possible indicator that the people that are rating these diamonds in terms of their size, there's a little bit of wiggle room in how they're rating it, because it seems pretty unnatural to have these high peaks at 0.3 carats, 0.5 carats, 0.7 carats. And of course, 1 carat, that's something a lot of people are always looking for in their diamonds. So these are the types of readings and insights you want to be able to pull from these graphs. You'll notice there's a skewing here that, ideal to fair. This one's got a little bit more of a normal distribution. And this one is a little bit more skewed to the left. Those things might be useful, in the main visualization that you'll do. And really what you're going to want to accomplish with this project is figure out the best way to put together multivariate visualizations. So as you're looking at these variables and as you're going through, try to think about how you can provide a visualization that gives a lot of information very simplistically. And that is the holy grail of data visualization, figuring out how to do a very simplistic chart, but very telling in that simplicity. And of course, if you're able to do that, you'll definitely have a career in being a data analyst. Take note of these questions that they have for you, and you can use these to help get direction in the project. Heat maps, this is really interesting. They kind of show you that they kind of center around these more likeliness to, like, less variation happens along these boxes right here. So that might be something you'd want to implement. And, just take reference. This is very important. A pair grid is something that's very useful because you could draw a lot of conclusions. It kind of shows a lot of characteristics of a lot of different variables, and you can look at the correlation factors between those variables. And not surprising, so here, this is XYZ. These are very similar, if you notice, right? So what is XYZ? Well, these are rating companies that rate the diamonds. And you would want them to be similar, because if you're going to work with them, then I guess you want to know how to price your diamonds. And if they can give you some insight, that could make your world a lot easier, right? Price is always something that's useful. Well, it's more so that people are interested in price. So keep that in mind. What are some variables that are of interest? And those would be ones that you'd want to you'd want to capitalize on. You want to keep doing, like, maybe more so gear your visualizations towards more interesting variables. I'll give you an example here. Well, I'm looking at, this is price and carat. That's what this is right here, price and carat. And they're the same. And not surprisingly, as the size of the carat goes up, so does the price. Same way here. As the price goes up, so does the size of the caret. So that's pretty interesting. So that would be something to think about using in your later data visualizations. Now take note that they're explaining a lot of what's going on. So what they're interested in, as they have these visualizations, they're interested in your pathway of thinking. They want to know and understand what it is you're thinking as you're piecing it together. And I think that's important because they want to see that you're able to draw conclusions, and that's and that's pretty much helpful in telling them that you're following along. Now, I'm not going to go through all of these charts, but as you see something that could be relevant, just think about if it's useful in the data visualization that you'll be doing for your own project, and just keep putting statements after each one of your visuals as you do your project. And that'll also help you understand it better. If you put it in words, you'll be able to understand it better, and that's very important. Especially when you're going to be showing these visualizations, if you go into an organization, they're going to want to know that you understand what you're talking about. So this is a good exercise as to prepare you for those. And this is a kind of an interesting graph right here. These are the things that you'll want to come up with at the end. You have a lot of different things that are going on here, but what I like is there's a distribution hue within the price and the caret. So it kind of gives you an idea of what people are spending, and also potentially what size it is for the caret. And those are the things that you're looking for. That's what you'd want to somehow bring about. This is another very interesting graph, and what you'll find is that the distribution varies from as you start getting into like fair to idea, and there's probably some conclusions you can come across with this variation. And one of them is, it seems like when you get to almost flawless, what is this, clarity, when you get to higher clarity, it seems to me that there's a lot of variation. So variation, with variation comes a lot more inconsistency in terms of being able to predict something. And that's something to remember when you go to do your visualization as well. So I think that's a good overview of what you can expect for this project, and you'll want to look at the other materials that they have available, and this will get you started off in the right direction. And take note, at the end they have some other example questions for you to go over as well, and it'd be really good that you fill those out, and that will help you also in your direction. And good luck on this project.